Hello, this series of presentations is brought to you by the Climate Reality Project New York State Coalition. The purpose of these presentations is to show you how to use federal, New York State, and utility incentives to electrify your home and transport, as well as source renewable electricity. These three segments, buildings, transport, and electricity, account for 73% of climate pollution in New York State. So our efforts to eliminate fossil fuels from our homes, transport, and electricity supply are very meaningful. This series includes 6 chapters that cover these 3 topics, plus this introduction, how to plan for the process, and a renter's guide. Feel free to watch just the chapters relevant to you. Some pages in the presentation will have a lot of text. Please don't worry about reading it all during the video, as you will be able to download the presentation later. The downloaded presentation will also have active clickable links that take you to websites that provide more detailed information and instructions. Now let's get started. We see the impacts of climate change all around us with ever greater frequency and strength. Here are some of the most serious impacts that are threatening the people and places we love. It is important to note that the burning of fossil fuels is the overwhelming cause of climate change. But by reducing our use of fossil fuels, we can slow and eventually stop the march of climate change. It is also important that we act quickly. The sooner we cut the sources of climate pollution, the larger the cumulative impact will be. In fact, we should be making the decisions this decade to stave off the worst impacts of climate change. This page summarizes the 11 steps to kick out fossil fuels from our lives. They are color-coded yellow for home electrification, blue for transport, and red for sourcing renewable electricity. Subsequent chapters in the series will address these 3 areas. And we've highlighted the fossil fuel 5, the fossil fuel devices most commonly found in our homes and driveways, that have superior electric alternatives that can save you money and make your home more comfortable and safer. Last, you'll note that the community solar is mysteriously numbered 1. That's because you should sign up for community solar today if you pay an electric bill and don't have residential solar. More on that in the chapter on renewable electricity. The great news is that the electrified future is healthier and more comfortable than the old fossil-fueled world. This transition is not about sacrifice. For instance, EVs are faster, smoother, quieter, require less maintenance, and don't pollute at source. Heat pumps provide both heating and air conditioning and don't include the smell of fuel oil wafting up from your basement. The electrified future is also cheaper. If you replace your fossil fuel devices when they are at the end of their life, the electric versions are often cheaper with the help of the incentives we outline in this presentation. And electric devices are more efficient and almost always cheaper to run. And with community solar, you will save 5 to 10% on the electricity fueling your electrified life. And electricity from residential solar is about half the cost of utility electricity. In sum, this transition is not about sacrifice, it's about upgrading your home and transport. This is the money page. We have researched and summarized here all the incentives available from federal, New York State, and our utilities to electrify your home, transport, and source renewable electricity. Listed down the page are the 11 electrification steps we discussed earlier. The first 3 columns in blue describe the federal programs, and the first 2 of these describes the rebate program for low and moderate income households that is now administered through the New York State Empower Plus program. The programs that are shaded have not yet started. The third of these columns lists federal tax credits. The next 3 columns, headed in green, are the New York State incentives. Let me explain how this chart works by showing 3 examples. Air source heat pump incentives are listed on row 4. There's a federal tax credit of 30% capped at $2,000 per year and significant New York State clean heat utility rebates that can total over 1/3 of the project cost. Low and moderate income households can also apply for rebates via the Empower Plus program. EV incentives are listed on row 9. New EVs get a federal rebate of up to $7,500 and a New York State rebate of up to $2,000, which are both taken off the invoice at the dealer. Our last example is the residential solar rebates listed on row 10. You can get a 30% federal tax credit, a 25% New York State tax credit, capped at $5,000, and a significant NYSERDA New York Sun rebate taken off the invoice. And New York still has net metering. There are specific rules for each of these examples that we will go through in the relevant chapters. We recommend that you print out this page so that you can refer to it throughout the presentations and make notes on it. This completes our introduction. You can access the presentation using the QR code here or the bit.ly link, or you can find the link in the video description. The next chapter addresses how to plan your electrification journey. We hope to see you there.